Sup?
Hey.
So, I was in my office and I was overhearing a conversation that our director of sales, Mr. Ben Pickthorn,
That's
the
me.
one,
That's
the
me.
only,
That's me.
Ben Pickthorn, was having. He just had a big win, so I thought it would be awesome to just go live, talk about like what was the process, what you went through, what were the results, and maybe it can benefit one of our followers.
One of our followers, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was actually really cool. I'm working with a buyer, and I normally don't work with a bunch of buyers. I try and focus on listings more than anything. But I've got a really special buyer, and she has identified a neighborhood that she really, really, really wants to be in. And unfortunately, homes in this specific neighborhood don't come on the market very often.
Happens,
right?
yep.
It happens all the time. People love a neighborhood and they stay forever. And when they do come on the market, they are off the market just like that,
Yep.
right? Especially in the hot market that we're in. So rather than sitting back and waiting for providence to happen, just like for a listing to fall out of the sky, I told her that I'd do what we do as professionals and go try and get ahead of the market and find a potential seller in that neighborhood. So I wrote a letter, and that letter was very simple. It was a 2-paragraph. It was probably like 6 sentences that said, hey, I've got a very specific buyer who's looking to live in said neighborhood and would love to put a deal together, save you time, money, and help my client get into where they want to go.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I went and I knocked on all of the homes in that neighborhood.
About how many were there?
Well, I did. I say all the homes. There's 176 homes in the in this community.
Yep.
And she only wanted end units.
Okay,
and
that narrows it down.
And of the end units, she was really specifically looking for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
Okay.
So that put it to about 30. And
Manageable.
Yep. So I printed off 30 letters. I took some door hangers with my business cards, and out I went.
Okay.
Had some great conversations with people. Met a couple realtors that actually lived in the neighborhood. One of them invited me in.
Were they interested in selling, and did they want to hire you?
Well, they did not want to hire me.
Okay.
They were somewhat interested in selling if I wanted to take on this giant project of a house that he lived in, and that's not what we were looking for. So, but it's still building relationships, which is really good.
Totally awesome.
And the more people that live in a community that know that what our intentions are, certainly help them out. So, long story short, after I was in that person's house, I went literally across the street I had 4 more flyers. So I was like, oh, I've got 4 more doors I need to knock. And I walked across the street, and the guy opened up the door, and I gave him my pitch. Hey, Ben Pickthorn, Green Group Real Estate, principal broker. I've got a client that we're trying to find a home for in this very neighborhood. And I'm just curious, who do you know that's thinking about selling a home in Mount Vernon Village? Okay. And he said, funny you should ask. My aunt actually owns this unit, and she is going to put this on the market in 2 weeks. And I said, holy smokes.
Did you really say holy smokes?
I did. I said, holy smokes. And I was like, well, this is perfect that I'm meeting with you. He's like, yeah, we were going to do all of these things. And I was like, before you waste any time and money doing all those things, I have a buyer who wants this specific unit. So may I get your aunt's number? He texted me his aunt's number, and I was like, well, when she sells this, where are you going off to? And he's like, my wife and I need, we're pre-approved for like $350,000, $400,000, and we need to buy a home over in this area. And I was like, do you have a realtor? He said, well, we did a few months ago, but they haven't been communicating with us at all. And I was like, well, I'm right here.
I'm your guy.
I said, I'm your guy. And he said, he's like, you are our guy. He's like, so I text Aunt Kathy in the car, and she was extremely excited to hear from me. I asked her to call me when she was available. She's a nurse, so I didn't want to just hit her with a phone call right off the top. And 10 minutes later, she called, and we worked out some very preliminary agreement on me representing the buyer and getting commission that way, and then helping her get that home sold and helping my client get into the home that she wants to be in. And
cool.
And John and I'll call him this afternoon, and we'll get something on the calendar for us to start identifying some homes.
So is this the only time that anything like this has ever happened to you?
No. No. What's interesting is that like I'm not the guy that like my block is always my mental block is I'm a big dude. People will like stranger danger, right? Like I don't want to open the door for this kind of scary guy. Like I'm not scary, especially if you know me.
Yeah.
And so I mean it's just it's consistency, and it's about putting your face out there. And there were only of the almost 30 doors that I knocked today, there were only 2 people that were kind of looking behind, like open the door just enough to peek their head out and like shut the door on me. Everyone else was receptive and communicative, and they didn't bite. Yeah. And so yeah, we find we've met with new sellers, we've met new buyers in this process, people that are renting at a home that you don't necessarily know are renting. That they're like, actually, we're renting and we would love to purchase a home. And so being able to coordinate that, it certainly works, and great way to get energy, be out in the community, smelling fresh air.
Get your exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know a lot of agents definitely have a block like you do, or did. I mean, you overcome it, because I know that you do this type of thing on a consistent basis.
Well, and it's because like my fear of what I'm projecting on someone else is smaller than me not being successful. So it's easy to push through, and it's like I would rather be successful than like worry about somebody being disappointed that I'm knocking on their door.
Yeah. Well, discomfort is a funny thing, and the way that the brain works is a funny thing. And there are very specific tactics that you can use to overcome your limiting beliefs, your fears, and basically just your discomfort. I was actually listening to a podcast not too long ago, and I'm going to do a training around this, so stay tuned for that. I think it's a really big block that real estate agents have on a very consistent basis, and it's something that you absolutely 100% can overcome. I want to say one more thing, because we're going to wrap this up and let you guys go back to your day. The one thing that I heard you say that really stood out, and I believe is like the most important thing in real estate, is you said consistent.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent with whatever you choose. And door knocking might not be your thing, and you might not be in a place in your career where you can overcome whatever limitations are holding you back from going out and getting face-to-face with people and having real estate-related conversations. And the reality is, like, find what gives you energy and what you're good at.
Right.
And you have to have real estate-related conversations. And you have to be consistent with it. Day after day, week after week, month after month. And if you don't give up, what happens?
There's success on the other side.
Absolutely, 100%, all the time.
All right.
So consistency. Be consistent with whatever lead generation you decide is your thing. Go all in. Be consistent with it. Get better and better and better. Be willing to fail throughout the process, because failure is just part of life. The more you embrace that failure and the faster you work your way through it, the faster the results will come.
Yeah, embrace the suck and move on.
I like it. So we hope that you found this inspirational today, because I was listening to this guy in the other room, and he truly is one of the best in the business. I love hearing him at work and the results that he gets from the work that he does, and just his heart that he puts out there. So it was awesome to hear. Good job. Boom, knuckles, elbow. Let's do a Bash Brothers. Boom. See. Okay, we're out. See you guys.
Bye.
So
we've never experienced it. Not desk started to move. I hit a button.
I have a standing desk, and it goes up and down, so I can actually. I stand most of the time, but we sit. So we're like, oh my gosh, you're gonna break.
This is what happens when you go Facebook Live.
That is really funny. So Ben is like about to break my tripod.
Yep.
Thanks, Ben. Desk is down. I totally lost my train of thought, but that's okay.
It's all right.